What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Pacific Horseplayers here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am not your normal host, Kyle Roscoe. However, I am filling in for Noah Meagher tonight. Noah was supposed to be on. Something came up, unfortunately, so you guys are stuck with me for another night for the week, and I know how happy about that everybody is. But, of course, guys, welcome and everyone. Thank you guys all so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it. Of course, tonight we are covering another fantastic Pick 5 at Delmar Racecourse featuring the Grade 1 Delmar Oaks. And what a Delmar Oaks they have this year. Full field, lots of good horses, including probably one of the best, definitely the best 3-year-old turfer on the West Coast in thought process. A ton of good information coming your guys' way. Again, thank you guys all so much for joining the show. Greatly appreciated. As you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now, if you guys enjoyed the podcast tonight, please give it a like and hit the subscribe button. We do this every single week, and it's completely free to do, but it's also the best way to help out our channel for not only showing us you guys like the content, but also pushing these podcasts out into YouTube's algorithm to hopefully bring more horse players to the HHH Racing Podcast. And of course, for that, we thank you. See scrolling at the bottom of the screen, coming up shortly, you'll see our normal podcast schedule every single week. On intermittent Mondays, we have Horsing Around, which is our recap show. Then on Wednesdays with the show that I normally host, Bettin' and Boozin', with myself, Patrick, and Charlie. Thursday, you have Picks and Ponies at 8 p.m. Eastern with Howard, Pete, and Paul. And then on this show, every single Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern through the end of the Delmar meet is Pacific Horseplayers with normally Noah, Ryan, and Jackson, who will be my co-host for tonight. And all those podcasts are also posted in audio form, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor is where you can find those. So if you guys are more of an audio listener, please go rate, review, and subscribe over there. We have our normal power picks, guys. And let me tell you, if you guys were subscribed last week to the normal power picks, you guys cashed a ton, $6.30 on the ROI. And that's not including any of the exactas or trifectas that we gave out in supplement to those picks. So guys, if you're not a part of this, only $5 a weekend, $21.60 a month, which is how Patreon bills it. And every single Saturday, you'll get 2 full tracks sent to your email, price plays, spot plays, pick 5 goods, everything you need to be successful on any given Saturday. We here at the HHH Racing Podcast have you covered with the power picks, and it's all done through Patreon, patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. The link is also in the description below. And of course, if you want to see previous editions of these power picks before you buy them, or you just want to learn more about the podcast in general, please head on over to hhhracingpodcast.com. Guys, again, apologies, it's a little bit frazzled. You can see I'm in my beer league softball jersey. I sprinted home, got ready for this, but of course, to bring on my co-hosts, and let's get right into the handicapping and get into the live chat, which I will talk about in a second. I see him laughing at me in the corner there, but let's bring him on, my good friend, Jackson Muniz. Jackson, what's going on, my friend?
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation. It's just great. It's hilarious. You flew home after your big win in softball.
Yeah.
Rushing to get the picks in. You called me. I'm like, I'm doing another podcast. I can't send you the picks in time. But we're good. We're gonna go on the fly. We're gonna find some winners. It'll all work out in the end. And Noah has an excuse. Ryan's really selfish tonight, right, guys?
Yeah.
It's his birthday. He's like, I don't want to do the podcast. I'm going to party tonight. I'm going to have dinner with his girlfriend. How selfish of him. Can you believe that guy?
Dude, I was doing horse stuff on my birthday. I mean, what the hell is this guy doing? My birthday was Sunday. And granted, I was out at Saratoga drinking beers and having fun. But, anyway, of course, happy birthday to Ryan. It is his 51st birthday today? Something like that, considering.
52nd.
Yes, of course. How could I forget, considering? But no, happy 27th birthday, of course, to our good friend Ryan Anderson. Hopefully he's having a good dinner after a big day of racing out at Delmar today. But yes, before anyone, yes, I do wear bright pink to softball. No one needs to comment about that. We do wear bright pink. And yes, I am wearing a Sox hat. I don't need any shade from that. But of course, Jackson, people can comment in the live chat throughout this show. If you guys are new to this, I already saw one new face in here. David Ibarra, first time tuning in live, my friend. Already found the live chat button, but thank you very much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. You'll hopefully catch some winners today. But if you guys are new here, bottom right-hand side of the screen here on YouTube. Comment in the live chat if you have picks on these races at Del Mar, or just have a question, any concern, anything like that. We read every single one, so please be sure to put it in the chat. Katie, of course, was here bright and early. Thanks so much for joining the show, Katie. Greatly appreciate it. Matt Miller, PHP in, switching over from the other show, stepping away in a few minutes. Major assist from Jackson this morning on the Equibase podcast. If you guys didn't watch that, go give that a listen. Terry Frank, of course, is here. Bob Segura, my friend. Good. Thank you for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. Thomas Spinoza, of course, is here out from the West Coast. Bob Segura, did you win the game? We did. And of course, the day that I need to get home, we ended up going into the bottom of the 7th inning, down 9-14, and we ended up coming back 6 runs on the bottom of the 7th, which of course took a little bit of time. Alex Suarez, my friend, I haven't seen your show on. I haven't seen your face on Betting and Boozing. It's time to come over to Betting and Boozing on Wednesday nights. But thank you so much, Alex, for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. But Jackson, I'll tell you what, as the dust settles, this actually is a very nice card on Saturday. There's a lot of interesting races added in with the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks, which is one hell of a race.
Yeah, I agree. I thought these were some tough races. They were all pretty competitive. Maybe the Del Mar Oaks isn't the most wide open race we're ever going to see, but it's definitely going to be a showdown. We get the West Coast, East Coast showdown that, make things really interesting. And we got 2 really nice fillies in that spot. So really excited for that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And getting right into it, Jackson, don't want to waste anyone's time. The late pick 5 on Del Mar, almost it seems like every single week, starts in race number 6. And I bring it up on the screen right now. It's an allowance optional, 50,000 going a mile and 16th on the turf with the rails out at 12 feet. We already have an early scratch, Jackson, which actually affects both. Or no, it doesn't. That's the 7, which actually affects you a lot. So unfortunately, we didn't see that until it just came in. But Jackson, you were going 7, 11, 6. I'm 10, 6, 11. Jackson, I guess, where do you want to go now?
Well, we'll stick with 11, 6 is good. 11,
okay.
6 is good. Yeah, we'll just hop right in. I did like the 7 here. I thought these favorites were not the most trustworthy favorites in the entire world. I really wanted to make a case for most of them, but I'm like, I didn't love any of them. So I'm like, let's look for more of a price. Obviously, I'm going to the 11 now. Who is on the outside? And I feel like she's the one you want. I do think she's the class of the field. She's coming out of a tougher race at Del Mar. She hadn't run in a year. It was a fast pace. I think you can be a little forgiving of that effort. Now she's dropping into an easier spot. There doesn't seem to be that much speed sign on. I guess the 9 could be quick, and maybe the 4 as well. I do think she's going to have to clear that from that outside post. I mean, it's mile 16th. It's a very short run out of the chute. They're going to send. They have to go to the front from that post. So hopefully she's a little tighter after that comeback race, and she can get 4th placed. And we'll see what she's got. I think she's pretty interesting in this spot. I don't know if I would. And you never know. Maybe there'll be another scratch or 2, and she'll be breaking from post 8 instead of post 10.
Well, yeah, right. You already have post 10 now instead of post 11. Not the biggest deal from that, considering still all the speeds right to her inside. But no, I agree. I think that tightener race last time is exactly what she needed. Kind of really folded last time, like she never really had before in a lot of her previous races. Granted, some of them were a lot colder paces. But the only thing, and I'll tell you what, Jackson, she really does love Del Mar. She's 4 for 5. If you're a horse for course person, definitely give the nod to the number 11 in this race. But she's in for the claim. And I know obviously she's out of her conditions and all that. She's 5 for 16 lifetime. I just didn't like the fact that they came into an 80,000 last time out. She folded. Now she's dropping into a 50 and in for the claim. That was my only nod against her. Obviously, I have her in 3rd. I think she's definitely one to consider, especially if you're playing horizontally. And to your point as well, I thought there was other speed in here, but they're going to have to catch her. And if she clears from the outside draw, she could be very, very tough in the race. Jackson, you and I both have the 6, and then I'll talk about my top pick, and I can understand because I have understanding on why you don't have her in there. Laudatori is a horse for D'Amato, another one coming off the bench last time, and I thought she ran great last time. Visually, she was very impressive. Granted, got a very hot pace to run into at Santa Anita, but going the mile for the second time, almost turning 4, seemed like she matured and really took a step forward in that last one.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see, right? You want to see that step forward from 3 to 4, and she clearly did. I mean, she jumped forward quite a bit in that race, and you mentioned she got a good setup in there. She really did. But she finished second. They were pretty well clear of the rest in that field. And I know the winner's name is Hopeful. They didn't come back and run too great, but she did. She repeated the same speed figure, so at least you can validate that speed figure a little bit. Feel a little bit more confident about that. And as you mentioned, there could be speed in here because the 9 is kind of the wild card. That's the horse that could really speed up the 11 in here. And then Gypsy Woman, who neither of us have, is a horse that is very, very keen in pretty much all of her races. She likes to be forwardly placed too. She doesn't need to be up there, but she could. And if those three hook up, I think this is the closer that you want coming from off the pace.
Yeah, and I would fully agree with that as I have her in second. It almost is with a ton of horses in this race, Jackson. I thought the 7 was actually interesting as well. I didn't have her in the top 3, but that was a horse I actually wanted to shout out. So the fact that you had that horse on top, I thought was very interesting. She's a Joker is another one. Gaffleon is also really cool to see him out on the West Coast. So, he's one, going to get some live mounts, and 2, going to be bet like he has some live mounts. So obviously keep track of that as you're going to have to pay what's normally the IRAD tax. You're going to have to pay the Gaffleon tax. However, I am going with the number 10, the White Lady. And again, I completely understand, Jackson, why I'm assuming you're against this horse. The last out of her 12 races, she's been second 7 times, a little bit of that second-itis. However, last time out, Jackson, she did get a really nice setup, but I feel like she's closing visually. It looked to me like she was a lot better at a mile than that 1.1 miles. And if there's a lot of speed in front of her, she's going to get a lot of first run on a horse like the 6 and other deep closers in this spot. And if D'Amato has her ready to go with Rispoli, who's had a little bit of a tough start to the meet here at Del Mar, if he can get him in a good position, actually don't mind that he's drawn to the outside. Hopefully sit 2 wide somewhere in that mid-pack area. And if he gets run on a horse like the 6, I feel like this could be the time to get the win. However, I do understand from a value standpoint, a horse with 7 seconds might not be one that you want to play up top.
Yeah, I'd be curious how they end up riding her in this spot, because we mentioned the short run with the chute. It comes up very, very quickly from the outside post, and she's sandwiched right between 2 speeds. So does she just break out of there and follow those 2, or does she break last and just go to the back of the pack and try to come from my way out of it? It'd be interesting to see. My problem with her is I watched the replay last time. I thought she got a phenomenal ride.
Yeah.
I don't know how she lost that race. And to be fair, the winner is a decent horse for D'Amato, but I thought she was supposed to win in there. So 3-1 is a little low. If she drifts up, I think I could see myself using it.
That's what I'm hoping, honestly, is the fact that people are seeing that type of 7 seconds angle. And while they keep her at, I think 3-1 is okay to take a shot for me on this horse, just because of, like you said, Paradise Lake's a nice West Coast turf runner. And I don't know, we have a lot of questions on a lot of other horses in here. So the fact that I'm getting 3-1, I feel like is enough value for me to take a shot. It's not my biggest play of the day, but I still feel like getting 3-1, 7-2 on your money in a spot like this is good enough for me to take a shot on the win end. But other than that, Jackson, like I said, a lot of these horses kind of fit the same bill, if you will. Like a lot of them have mid-80s buyers. But the one thing I wanted to point out is the last horse we'll talk about, then we'll move on, is the 5-2 morning line favorite is the number 4 Gypsy Woman, a horse that neither of us had anywhere originally in our top 3. And obviously now with your scratches, you could add them in there for third. But this is one that, again, wants to be close up to the pace. You mentioned that she's been keen a lot in her races. And really, besides that one race where she just sat right off and was in a perfect spot, she really hasn't gone by anybody. And for me, I don't think she gets the lead in here. I don't think she's that fast at all. From that standpoint.
I'd be surprised if she made the front here. You mentioned the tag with the 11. I don't like that she's in it for the tag either.
Yeah,
that was my big red flag, because when I was first going through the race, I was kind of like, before the odds came out, I kind of like this 4, kind of like this 4. That was a big red flag to me, because she was pretty good in those first couple starts here. Obviously, things went wrong in the stake race, but they've taken her time getting her back to the races, and now they're putting in for the tag. I just thought that was a little iffy.
100%. I completely agree with you. That was on both the 11 and the 4. The 4 especially, though, which is why I didn't have her anywhere. The fact that she's, even if it's a restricted race, right, Jackson, but it's still a 92,000 stake race. Not necessarily that she ran bad. I mean, she didn't run good by any means, but the fact that she had an 82 and 88 before that, now it takes time off, like you said, and now comes back in lower level and for the tag. There's definitely spots they can put her in where she wouldn't have the tag. So I agree with you completely that the Gypsy Woman would be a play against from a morning line favorite standpoint. But Tom Espinoza, I have the 4 and 4. If she can return to 2024, could be interesting. Absolutely. But again, I feel like this will be your favorite just because of those races she ran. Plus, it's Free Sue and Glatz, so you're going to take that hit as well. She's one I would play against on Saturday, but I really didn't like anyone else in that race. I felt like the first race could come up a little bit chalky, but even if it's chalky, I still feel like no matter who you like, you're going to get a nice price on a lot of others. I'm going 10, 6, 11 to kick off the late pick 5 at Del Mar on Saturday. Jackson's going 11, 6 with his scratch, of course, of the number 7, which I don't know if that's a good omen to start this card, to be completely honest with you. But the next, yeah, we will find out pretty soon. But anyway, race number 7, Jackson, is the next race, of course. $100,000 maiden special weight, 6 furlongs on the dirt for California breds. As I bring up the Equibase right now, the morning line favors another lukewarm one, 3-1. And the number 2, Mystic Moses, Ruben Silvera rides for Steve Miotti at 3-1. Second choice, the number 8, Can't Help Myself. Hector Barrios rides for John Sadler at 7-2. And your third choice is Ocean Bear, first-time starter for Rispoli and Papadromo at 4-1. I bring up our picks on the screen right now. Jackson, very based, my friend, on the front end. We are both going with the number 8. And I don't know about you, Jackson. I gave a lot of look to these first-time starters. I mean, the workouts are really good, but a lot of these trainers, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a second, don't really have these horses cranked first time out, which is something with them going to be low odds. That's not something I'm willing to take a shot with.
Yeah, I looked at the stats for both Papadromo and Urton. I think Papadromo was like 2 for 50 something the last 5 years with 2-year-old firsters, and Urton's like, I don't remember the exact number, but he was like 5 or 6.
Not good. Yeah,
and it's not like they're finishing second and third a lot. They're not even hitting.
Nope. It's
so
9. It's 2 for 57, 4% on the win end, with 9 only in the top 3 in the last 5 years for Papadromo. So again, being that this horse is 4-1 morning line, granted the workouts are stellar, but if you ride the numbers, that's not one. And the other horse was Peter Urton, who I still have in there because I think the horse, I really like the workouts on this one. But if you go 2-year-olds, first-time starters here for Peter Urton, again, you're looking at 6 for 78. Granted, a little more in the money than Papadromo, but still 8% in the last 5 years. So that's something we're playing against, Jackson. We're heading with the 8. Can't Help Myself.
Yeah, I think Can't Help Myself is the right. I think he drew really well in this spot. And he was one of those horses that ran opening weekend. Those opening weekend races are usually a little bit tougher because everyone's targeting opening weekend at Del Mar, obviously. Was really quick, showed a lot of improvement from start 1 to 2, and just got run down by Thirsty Rebel. And I know, obviously we're friendly with Shane O'Neill, and they were very high on that colt. That was not a surprise at all. He did what he was supposed to do. Kind of ran off the screen there. So I think no shame in finishing second to that horse. Mm-hmm. He does have the experience edge. He has the speed. He's very quick. He can establish position. It's going to be on the outside. I just think there are things to like on this horse. He's very logical in a race where I just don't trust the firsters at all. And he also had a little bit of trouble on the turn at one point. Kind of very, 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 very brief steady. I don't think anything. He wasn't going to win, but at least worth mentioning a bit.
No, absolutely. It's always worth mentioning. And the thing that I liked about him too is in this race, I'm hoping Sadler has him a little bit more ready. He was a little green in the stretch. You can see the 1 here. He's on the wrong lead. He's kind of like not climbing, but he's lugging into the left. Right. And again, and he beat really every other horse. You could argue he ran a winning effort that day. Obviously, behind a horse called like Thirsty Rebel is like you said, no shame in finishing behind him. Love that he's drawn outside in this spot. If this horse was drawn inside, I'd like him a lot less. But if he sits just a nice middle stalking trip, I feel like he could be a pretty tough run with Hector Barrios, who's having a fantastic Del Mar meet. Might I add, not everyone can be Juan Hernandez, but Hector Barrios is having himself a pretty damn good meet. Second choice you have is a horse. I will say, Jackson, this might be the first time I've ever seen Wyoming Downs in the program for me personally. But look, man, that's pretty sick, to be honest with you. This now is a new trainee for Luis Mendez, who hasn't had a winner. However, earlier at Santa Anita, he had plenty of them. And now coming into this spot, it's just another horse that has a start under his belt that will be overlooked just because of the naturality of where he ran last time.
Right. Well, it's not my first time seeing a horse at Del Mar. It's actually my second time. The first time was on Sunday, I believe, when Cash, who finished second in that race, came out of there and ran it on Sunday for Doug O'Neill. It actually took a lot of money and finished a pretty good third. It seemed like it was a good maiden special weight race on Sunday. No shame at all finishing third. So kind of validated the form of the Wyoming race where it's a complete guess at that point. So I think the fact that the horse ran okay is at least a little encouraging. Mendez their horses are usually pretty quick. No surprise there. Drawn a little bit towards the outside. I think it's probably the plan, right? I mean, this is what they do. They give him a start in the middle of nowhere, just run okay third or fourth, and then get him ready for Del Mar, get him ready for the ship and win bonus. And I don't know if this horse is good enough, but I do know he's going to be a price. I think he'll be a lot more cranked up than some of these others, so I'll use him a little bit, but definitely have the 8 on top.
Yeah, I mean, this horse carried. I've 126 for a 2-year-old maiden's also. I'm not a weight guy, but that's nuts. Then now we come back into this spot. No, then now he comes back into this spot. Hopefully he's more ready. And again, I do love horses. Like, even though he lost by 13 and a quarter, still has that race under his belt, the little bit of seasoning, if you will. And hopefully he can be, if he gets up close to the front, easily could hang on for a piece. I like Arasaka for the sole reason that Peter Urton's not one to usually crank up his horses in the mornings, at least like you see a Baffert or something like that. The fact that this horse has run back-to-back minute flat and 47-1 means that to me that this horse looks to be very well meant for Peter Urton. And Jimmy Creed, 11% first-time starters for 2-year-olds. So not the best, but not the worst by any means. Bayonet Colonel John has 0 for 6 on her 2-year-old, so I couldn't put him on top. And again, with Peter Urton's 2-year-old stats as well. But the workouts for me in the mornings, I'm waiting to see the workout report and, of course, the board ultimately on Saturday to see how much money this horse is taking. But you have Free Sue. Urton's had a fantastic start to his meet at Del Mar, coupled with the workouts. I'm willing to at least have this horse in the money. And last horse we'll talk about, Jackson, is your number 2, Mystic Moses, as we already touched on my 4. In third, another one that started. You're going again with a race where you said you can't trust the firsters, going with another one who's has a couple starts under his belt. And last time he ran really well behind a very nice horse.
Yeah, he ran well, showed a lot more speed than he did on debut, and finished second to Sammy Davis, who came right back and won a stake race. So pretty good effort. He's supposed to probably make the front here again from an inside post. The issue is he was 34-1 last time, and now he's going to be 3. He could be lower than 3-1. I can't stomach that. I hate picking those horses on top, and felt like last time was probably the time you really wanted them, and now he's getting a way shorter price.
I agree. And there's no saying that he can't win this race. He can absolutely win this race off that last one. But again, from a value standpoint, I do completely agree with you. And this race is very tough, again, especially to gauge the firsters in here. Keep an eye on the board. And of course, that doesn't help for the late pick 5. If you're playing the late pick 4, that can definitely help you on choosing which horse will run where. The last thing, Thomas Espinoza says the 5 is decent works, hasn't missed a work since May. Coroner's 20% with his 2-year-old, so use underneath. And exotics, again, this is one of those that might shoot under the radar just because of Brian Corner, David Herrera. People don't know him as well as someone like Peter Urton, Papadromo, stuff like that. So this is one that's going to be a price, and based on those workouts as well, should be ready to go in here and definitely could catch a piece. So I don't see why that can't happen at all either, Tom. I'm going 8-7-4. Jackson's going 8-6-2 in race number 7. Jackson, this is where the good stuff begins. This is the grade 1 Del Mar Oaks presented by Keeneland Sales. As I feel like I just said that yesterday because we covered the Alabama yesterday. If you guys didn't watch that, give it a listen after this. But the Alabama was also presented by Keeneland Sales, I guess is where I'm going with this. But this is 300,000. Yeah, it is. Grade 1, mile and 1/8 on the turf. Again, rails out at 12 feet. The morning line favorite in this race is a very, very nice filly. The number 10, Thought Process, Umberto Rispoli, Phil D'Amato, 8-5 on the morning line. Your second choice is that East Coast Invader Jackson hinted at the start of the show. The number 5, Lush Lips, Tyler Gaffleone, Brendan Walsh, 3-1 on the morning line. And your third choice is the number 7, Will Then. Juan Hernandez hops on for Jonathan Thomas. And I put up our picks right now, Jackson, and no surprise. No surprises at all. I'm sure you could see that one coming. However, I promise it's not just an East Coast bias thing, but I do have things why I like about her. But Jackson, you're going with the number 10, Thought Process, in a race where, again, she's by far been the best 3-year-old filly on the turf on the West Coast so far this year. And if she continues to put it together, 8-5 could end up being value in this race, realistically.
Yeah, to be honest, I was, this is very handicap last night at 2 a.m. when I was sending my notes over to Matt. I kind of thought they'd be a little closer in the betting than one line has them. And I still do think by the time, especially with the CAWs out of the pools now, it's going to be a lot of, but people like us betting this race, and I think a lot of people gravitate towards the East Coast horse. I think they'll be much closer by the time the race starts. So honestly, I don't really have a huge knock on either of them. I'm just a big fan of Thought Process. She's done nothing wrong outside the Breeders' Cup, where she was kind of nuts in the post parade, was nuts in the gate, and then kind of ran off on that field and, just didn't run her best race, obviously, because everything else she's done is really damn good. And she's probably supposed to I know she has a tough post in here, but there's not a lot of speed. I think she'll be able to get the trip she wants. She doesn't need lead. She proved last time she can sit just off of it. I just think their way the two horses to beat, it's not even close. I think I told Matt there's if it's not one of these two, like I'd just be shocked. Like
I'd be very surprised.
Like unless they both don't show up, which I guess is possible. But I told him like if you're playing a contest, this is the one you send your entries 2 different directions because you're 95% going to be one of these 2 favorites. So I'm going with the West Coast horse. I think she's going to be in front. They're going to have to come catch her. I think she's a little bit more classier than Lush Lips, but I'm not faulting anyone for taking Lush Lips at all.
No, and my hope, Jackson, again, we say this all the time, I feel like, but my hope is the fact that they see thought process is drawn to the outside, and a horse like the one in this race, who's the Slick, who hasn't necessarily been on the lead recently, but has been close up, feel like drawn from the one post, especially out of this 1 1/8 shoot that they have on the inside. I'm hoping that, especially with D'Amato too, considering, although that's the other point, though, I didn't even think about that, is obviously with thought process being D'Amato, you're not going to send Slick and try and mess up thought process. That's something that just came to my head as I'm trying to talk through this. Anyway, my whole point of what I'm saying is I'm hoping that they don't let thought process just get out to the lead and have her away from the 10 post, because it is, especially in this shoot, which we talked about earlier, it's not as big of a problem at a 1 1/8 as it is at a 1 1/16. But however, I still feel like from that outside gate, she's going to have to clear early to be able to not be wide out of that shoot turn. And my hope is that someone does end up going with her. And my horse for that, being that it's not D'Amato, is the number 4 Resolve. I'm hoping Kent DeSormo just gets her out quick, which she has been shown to be quick in the past. Not necessarily as of recent. Last time she was a little quick and then ended up fading. But that's my hope, is that someone just goes with her. And that's why I ended up going with Lush Lips. My other thing is that she won't be that far behind. I mean, she was farther behind last time because they did end up going 47-4 for a half mile at Churchill, which at that time of the year was pretty quick on that turf. And just visually, Jackson, of course, it's Churchill, so we can't show the replay. Visually, last time, I thought that was an outstanding race. She got a very nice trip in that one, but she drew off so professionally, super well. And if she gets that same type of trip, she drew perfectly for me in this race, not outside, not on the rail, right smack dab in the middle. If she can sit just in a nice stalking trip, again, it's just going to be a throwdown between thought process and Lush Lips just based on paper. And Tyler Gaffalione is not shipping out here just to ship out here. He's winning what seems like 60% out at Ellis Park right now. He could easily take mounts over there and win another, he could basically win 75%, what it seems like at this point. But he ships out here for Lush Lips in this spot. He's picking up other mounts, but this is the mount he wants. He had this horse before he ended up getting injured. Again, they went to Flavian Pratt. Not like that's a bad thing by any means, but the fact that he still follows this horse out here makes me have a ton of confidence in Lush Lips. And in a race, Jackson, that realistically it's 2 horses and almost everyone else seems kind of like the same horse to me in a way. Like everyone's got the same numbers. They all kind of run that same type of trip. So in a race where it's 5 or the 10, I agree with you. I think they will be a lot closer, but just a lot of the signs to Lush Lips pointing on go. And if they do make thought process work early, which again, that's a big if, we talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
it's a big if, but if they do, Lush Lips will be the one to pounce on that one. And I'm hoping for 3-1. We're never going to get it. Hope it's probably going to be something like 8-5, 2-1, somewhere in there. But again, in a race that looks like it's, 2 horses, Jackson, 2-1, 8-5, whoever you like, it could be good value.
Agreed. And let me ask you this. If you're the jockey on the other 9 horses in this race, and you have 2 just horses you have to beat, do you really think you're going to outkick Lush Lips and thought process? Like, are you someone's got to be aggressive in you, right? I feel like someone is going to be like, they're going to break it. Like, screw it, we're going to the front. And if they catch us, great, whatever.
Right. And Lush Lips, I agree with you. And Lush Lips was that horse, early in her career. That's the other thing I really like about her is it started with the Edgewood where she ran behind Nitrogen. We talked about that in the Alabama yesterday, but the fact that last time she rated super well and was able to kick on really nicely, which I'm sure is exactly what Brendan Walsh wanted to see. Irish breeding, 10 Sovereigns has had a fantastic start to his stallion career as well. You can see 20% on the win end, and in turf routes, it's 21%. So the fact that he only had 1 horse go upwards of 1.25 miles. Obviously, we're only going 1.1 miles in this one, but turf routing seems to be where 10 Sovereigns hits that really nice pinpoint. And if Lush Lips, anything to go off of the last time, how visually impressive it was, the 1.1 miles should not be any type of problem for me. Jackson, go ahead.
My only knock on her, I had, she ran great 3-back. She ran deceptively well 2-back. Last time, obviously, she ran up the screen. The only issue I have is that last race has not come up that great.
I agree.
And that's have been a little iffy, to say the least.
Yep.
She also won that race by 4. It's not like they were, getting to her late. She won by length, and that was it. She crushed them. So I don't know how much that matters. That would be the one little concern.
And I completely, because I did look at that as well. But again, as we've done more and more of these shows, Jackson, a lot of the things we've keyed in on is replays and watching, visually how these horses look, and that's what drew me in with Lush Lips. But again, now that we talked about the 2 horses we think can win the race, let's talk about some others here in this race. Take a Breath is a foreign shipper for Mark Ladd. Hector Barrios hops aboard this one, so this horse is probably live, and they have a little bit of confidence in this horse coming into here. 12-1 on the morning line. We'll see what happens, how they bet this horse. Only one work over here, and that was on Sunday. But Mark Ladd hasn't been bad on foreign shippers, and this is one that can run in the money as well.
Yeah, my thing with this horse is, look, none of the other horses in California can beat Thought Process if she shows up, and it's just the complete unknown. She could be terrible. She could be a maiden claimer for all I know, but I just don't know. So I'm gonna have her in third because she actually had an okay form overseas. Won a couple races, been running over firm turf courses too, which so obviously they're bringing her with intent, and does have Barrios, who's the best, arguably the best turf jockey out here. So I'm not putting her on top anywhere, but I think if someone were to beat the top 2, I think it'd be her.
Yeah, I do agree with you completely. I mentioned before, Jackson, that a lot of these horses just seem like the same horse. Slick, same type of thing where she runs her race. 74, definitely not good enough to win in this field. Velocity, 75, 76, same type of thing. Resolve is the horse I hope will go to the front. Lush Lips we talked about. Edge of Mali is a horse that was super bet last time out, but man, is this a tough spot in here. I could honestly see putting her in third just because she does have a little bit of that unknown factor, the fact that she's so lightly raced. I could have her in third by Saturday. Picks change. I always post on Twitter if you guys want to follow me over there. Will then is the last horse I do want to talk about, Jackson, because she will be definitely the clear third choice in here, but she really hasn't done anything that makes me want to put her in third at all. She's ran good races, beat, fifth behind Nitrogen and Lush Lips. And last time she ran fine behind Thought Process, but never threatened to win in either of those races. I'm just not too sure if she's exactly the class that you want in here, especially a third choice at somewhere around 5-6-1.
Yeah, she got smoked by Lush Lips 2-back, and she was wide. She actually was not that wide. She always had cover except like the top of the stretch. So and then she got smoked by Thought Process 2-back or last time. I don't need her. I don't know how she's a third choice in here, but she is.
I agree with you completely. And I have Cassaloo in third, Bob Baffert, Kimura in this race. Ran a good one behind Thought Process. Again, never really threatened for the win, but that was a little bit off a layoff. Getting a little bit.
Maybe she's the one that goes to the front. Maybe she's the one that goes to the front.
I mean, anybody, please, for the love of God. Yeah. In terms of me, anyone, obviously you don't want that. But again, Thought Process kind of not rated last time, but she showed a little bit different side. So maybe she doesn't even need the lead. We'll see, obviously, but she seems like the controlling speed in this race. And if they go, they are going to have to catch her. And that's been pretty hard for every race but the Breeders' Cup. I'm going 5-10-9 in the Delmar Oaks. Jackson's going 10-5-2. Let's close out this card, Jackson. Race number 9 is a Claimer 12-5. Right after the Grade 1 Delmar Oaks, we're going right back to where we belong, Jackson, in the 12-5 Claimer range. 1 mile on the dirt for olders, draws a full field of 8 morning line favorites. Another pretty heavy one, and if this horse is the favorite, Jackson, I don't want any part of this horse. The number 4, Get Her Number. Tyler Gaffleone picks up the mount for Peter Miller at 2-1 on the morning line. Second choice, number 2, Little Richard's Bellow for Kimura and Rodriguez at 7-2. And your third choice is number 7, Contrary Chieftain for Kyle Frey and Mauricio at 4-1. And I'm putting up the picks right now, Jackson. You are going with a little bit of a price in here. Number 5, Zimba Warrior, the Florida bred for Edwin Maldonado to Steve Maiotti at 12-1. I'm going with the number 7 that I just mentioned. But if there's any race, Jackson, that a price is going to come in this sequence, if it's not that maiden race, this is definitely the one that's right for it.
Yeah, I agree. You said it's a 12-5 claimer, and usually not that great. I thought this was actually a pretty competitive race, to be honest. With only 8 horses in it, I think it make a case for just about anyone in here. I don't need the 4. I mean, I know he's the class of the field and running the best numbers, arguably, but he's just not a 2-turn horse. He won the Grade 1 as a 2-year-old about 17 years ago, and has not even been within 10 lengths in all of his races.
Seems like it. I was like, wait, that's the same horse, right? Because my God,
I think he used to knock heads with like Ginobili, and Ginobili has been for like 4 years. So this guy's been around forever, which is cool. But I'm not going to bet him at 2-1 in this spot. So I'd be against him in here. I just don't think he wants anything to do with 2 turns anymore. Zimba Warrior, look, opening day on the dirt at Del Mar was huge outside bias, by far the biggest bias of the meet. Finally started to see some run backs. We saw the first one on Sunday when a horse was stuck on the rail the whole way opening day, came back on Sunday and romped. Got just absolutely crushed that field. So I think we're starting to see these horses come back. And this was another horse that was on the inside the entire race last time. Actually ran okay to finish third in there, or finish fifth, beating 3 lengths. And that was also the first race of the meet, where it's not a typical $16,000 claimer, because everyone wants to win the first race of the meet. It's usually a lot tougher than the level would indicate. So I think this horse is pretty live. Definitely needs a setup in this spot. Definitely needs some help up front. I think he could get it. I'm not certain he's going to get it, but at 12-1, I'm willing to find out. Obviously, the other big concern would be Maldonado has not won a race all meet, but these two have teamed up together to win several races in the past. They team up quite often, and when this horse wins, it's usually with Maldonado riding. So I think it's a good jockey switch in this case, and he's going to be a price. Like, give me him at 12-1 in a wide open field.
Yeah, and I agree. And then you can see the 5's actually in the back. I don't know if that's going to be. He's going to be all the way in the back necessarily, but he's going to need a pace to run into. And that was my thing. I wasn't sure about the pace scenario in this race, which is why I ended up with the 7. But again, you're going to get paid to find out on this horse. It is 8 years old, which of course the boss would not like in this regard. However, this is still one that's running very competitive numbers for this type of level. And if he's dropping back to that 12-5 ranks and gets a little bit of pace in front of him, I wouldn't be surprised by any means in here. Contrary to Chief Chains, where I went in this race, Librado Barricio is having a very nice meet. He's 8 for 12 in the money, 4 for 12 on the win end. Kyle Frey hops aboard in this race. This is one that's been towards the front a lot, but has also shown the ability to sit in the middle and pass late. Granted, that was in restricted 5,000 claimers out at Santa Anita earlier in the year, but loves the mile distance. Really, and surprisingly, has never been to Del Mar, which is something I found very interesting for this 6-year-old. But with how Barricio has been training, they won the 16 claimer, hopefully getting a very nice trip in that one. Then went to the turf for a starter allowance. Not what this horse wants at all. Completely draw a line through that one. Now getting a nice middling price to hopefully set a very similar trip to what he sat in the past. That's enough for me to take a shot with this one at this level for sure. With a 78 and an 80 buyer. Again, 61, draw that line through it on the turf, and this is one I feel like can be really competitive. Jackson, you have this horse in second, so you obviously feel the same way.
Yeah, agree with everything you said. I mean, if he runs back to the two race back and 3 races back, he's the horse to beat, I think. I mean, he ran well in those 2 spots, those arguably tougher fields. The horse he beat 2 back in that race at Santa Anita was ready to pounce, who actually won that opening day race. So obviously that race has come back okay. And he's going to be 4th place, outside post, left flight.
I completely agree. You have Mother's Prayer in third, another 12-1 runner. This one in for the 10-5 claim instead of the 12-5 claim. But again, this is another one in this race that's run similar numbers in the back number section. Hasn't really gotten back to that yet. But again, one that's going to be a little bit more forwardly if the pace does not develop in here.
This one's more of a deeper back, like really deep backup. I don't want to lose this horse because I thought he actually ran okay last time against Leicester, but he's been progressing with each and every. I mean, he's improved his last 6 starts, so he could take another step forward. Last time he broke well, but just the outside post. They wanted to get to the front. He was just couldn't quite clear that field. It was hung way wide in the first turn, and actually made a big move at the top of the stretch. Got into contention, just got a little tired late. So I'm hoping with a smaller field. And now he's going from Espinoza, who's typically pretty passive, to Payeras, who primarily rides at Los Al in the quarter horse races. So I think they're going to just absolutely send this horse to the front.
Just go to the front and try and last.
See what happens. And you know what? A lot of times that ends up working out really well for the horses. So,
and especially at this level too, for that matter.
Agreed. So hopefully he breaks and goes in front. And like I said, he's going to be deep backup, but I don't want to get beat by this horse because I just think he's a little interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And with a lot of horses, like I said, the 7's a little bit on an improve, but horses like Get Her Number in there running still competitive races. And this is a big drop now for this horse. But I mean, this was a horse that was, at least say, go back last year, 2 years ago. I mean, was competitive running in grade 3s on the even the cigar. He lost by a head in the cigar mile, for Christ's sake, at the end of 22. And now you fast forward 3 years and he's a 12-5 claimer at Del Mar. And he's going to be favored just based on those back races and the numbers he's ran. But he's nowhere close.
Yeah, look at his numbers. Their buyers going 2 turns versus the buyers going 1 turn this year. I mean, it's not like this is 2 years ago now. This is this year. He's clearly faster going 1 turn. And I don't know if I want to take too short of a price on him.
And you're going to see a short price on this horse too. And I completely agree with you. The two turn races you're looking at this year are Oaklawn right here, 70-71, way below his 1 turn efforts as a Santa Anita, Churchill at Del Mar last time. So I couldn't agree with you more. This is one I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole at 2-1. Can he win? Sure, I guess, but I'm not willing to take that price to find out. The fact that I have him in 3rd is kind of even a sin for me in that regard. But the 2 Real Richards Bell is the only other one I found a little bit interesting, off a little bit of a drop running from Los Al State bred. But again, this horse is 8 years old, 0-4 at Del Mar. Just not one, again, low price that I thought I wanted to take. Granted, I have the 4 and 3rd, again, complete sin on my part, than talking off this horse at 7-2. But again, not one I'm willing to take at such short odds. Race number 9, I'm going 7-3-4. Jackson's going 5-7-8. And look who it is, my friend. He's out the clink. Sorry, I couldn't make it, boys. Shit definitely does happen, man. Hope you're doing all right, and just get some rest because you deserve it, my king. Last race is race number 10.
I better see you at Del Mar tomorrow, Noah, with the margarita in your hand. See you in 20 hours from now, bro.
If he's not, I'm showing up, because that sounds like a fantastic time. I'll work on the plane. Over race number 10, Jackson closes out the late pick 5 on Saturday. It's another maiden special. Mile on the 16th for 80,000. Fillies and Mares, 3 years old and up, and it draws a field of 10 in this race with another lukewarm favorite in this spot. And the number 3, the Mizzen Queen, Hector Barrios, hops on for Dan Blacker at 7-2. Second choice, the number 8, Gathered, Juan Hernandez, Mike McCarthy at 4-1. Your second choice, and your third choice is the number 10, Ante, for Umberto Rispoli and another Mike McCarthy trainee. As I bring up our picks right now, Jackson, you're going with the number 7, Miss Artois, who's coming out of a race a lot of other of these horses are coming out of, which I will show the replay of as we talk about the 7. I'm going with the number 8, Gathered, in this race. Jackson, again, number 7, Miss Artois, I mentioned coming out of a race a lot of them are coming out of. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's 1, 2. So 4 of these 10 runners are coming out of this race. So what'd you like most about Miss Artois as opposed to the others?
Yeah, we covered 3 pretty tough races, and I think this one might be the toughest of them all.
I agree.
There's a million directions you can go in this spot, and I wouldn't really talk you off of it. I just thought she was the horse I really wanted coming out of that Comet race. She was 23-1 there, had a really tough post, was wide every step of that race. I mean, she just never saved ground at any point.
I agree.
And she even checked a little bit in the first turn, like just had trouble. Just things just never really went her way. And I actually thought she ran okay to end up finishing 5th in there. I mean, she makes a little run. I mean, there's the little trouble right there. Loses a little bit of position, mostly just because she was so wide. And it's not like that was one of a slow pace race. It's a lot more. It hurts a lot more when you're losing ground in a fast paced race, which that clearly was. And she still comes with a runner right here. She outkicks the 5, who saved a lot of ground that race. I just think she's clearly the horse you want coming out of there. I don't think she's going to be as far back as she was last time. 2 back, she was actually just at the pocket. I'm hoping she can get that trip again, because big jockey switch to Fraser was typically more aggressive. So send her out of there, get her more forwardly placed. You're not going to be in the 11 post this time, so you're going to have that chance to get forwardly placed. And let's see what she's got. I mean, she's a 3rd star off the bench. She's 8-1, and this is the race I just didn't want too short of a price.
I completely agree with you. I have her in 3rd, and I have her out of all the ones that ran in that race. I definitely had her rated the highest because she was wide the whole time. Basically paired up buyers for Richard Baltus. Again, you get Free Sue instead of Tiago Pereira. I do enjoy a little bit of TJ. However, I do think that's definitely a jockey upgrade compared to the 2 of them. And if he does get ridden a little bit more, or I'll take a drink for that. If she is ridden a little bit more aggressive, like she was 2 back, this horse can definitely run a big race. So that's the horse I want out of there. I completely agree with you. The problem is that I wasn't exactly too enamored with everyone that was running in that race. So that's why I ended up going with 2 different fresh faces in here as opposed to the others. However, again, I agree that the 7 is the one you want out of that race. I went with the number 8 Gather, and I agree with you in the fact that this is definitely the toughest race of the entire day, at least in the sequence we're talking about, because I'm going with a horse off the trainer switch and off the layoff. Mike McCarthy's had a decent meet, 7 for 46, and you get JJ aboard, which is never a bad thing out here at Del Mar, especially this year, because it just seems like he's winning everything, almost everything he rides on nowadays. Trainer switch from Graham Motion now into the Michael McCarthy barn. From 2 to 3, you should see a lot of improvement in her. She's definitely filled out a little bit more, or hopefully filled out a little bit more. Michael McCarthy takes over and no problems with that at all. Basically keeps her in the same exact way, same exact thing she was running at before. If not, you get a little bit extra distance back to that Laurel race where she easily ran her best race, not exactly her best number, but visually her best race. And if she improves at all from 2 to 3 years old, which you would imagine she would, 4 to 1's not bad in a race where I have a lot of question marks about a lot of different horses. So Gathered's the one, and I love that she's drawn outside to hopefully sit that type of middle stalking trip. Again, is it my biggest opinion on the day? No, absolutely not. But this is the one I would probably take out of here between her and the 9, who I also have Peter Miller, David Cohen, who's actually rode 4 winners out of 20 out here at Del Mar this meet. David Cohen was fantastic out in the Chicagoland area for a couple meets. So there's no disrespect to him at all, even though he doesn't get that many mounts out here. Last race I thought was sneaky good against Edge of Molly, who's in the Del Mar Oaks, the race we talked, of course, the grade 1 we talked about earlier. And even though she got a pace set up in front of her, I thought she ran well. And you're not really catching a horse like Edge of Molly in this race. So the fact that if she can show a little bit of improvement, this will be second time turf routing for her. I feel like she could at least catch a little bit of a piece at a nice price of 8 to 1, Jackson. Of course, you're going other ways, but just trying to find a fresh face in here.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. Like I said, whoever you stay in this race, I'm like, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. As long, I just wouldn't take 8 to 5 on something. Like if someone just gets bet off the board, unless maybe it's the horse I'm going to talk about, the 3. If that horse is 8 to 5, then maybe that's some clear market signal that this really can run, because she's just a complete unknown in here. Obviously coming from overseas, and I mean, I don't even know what she's been facing. I'm not super familiar with those tracks, to be honest, but she ran okay last time against the boys, finished second, beat a lot of horses, carried 136 pounds in there. Something to like. Been working okay, especially the works over at San Diego on the poly look pretty decent. So maybe this horse can run. This is the one horse I think if this horse getting bet off the board, then you want to pay attention to, and maybe do hop on. Everyone else, if they're getting way over bad, then don't bet.
I do agree with you, because you are completely correct that this is the complete wild card in here. And Dan Blacker is sneaky good with his foreign shippers. I can put it up on the screen right now. I looked up the stat earlier, because I was, Dan Black, you don't really see these types of horses for Dan Blacker. So I got really interested. Oh, wait, no, I did. Oh, that was first after the trainer switch, excuse me. When he gets switched to him, he wins at 21%, 6 for 29, and he's 1 for 5 with those foreign shippers. But again, only one of them in the money. But so you can, like I was saying before, you don't see this type of move to Dan Blacker a lot. However, it does pick up Hector Barrios as well. And I completely agree with you, Jackson. Obviously, it doesn't help for the people that are playing horizontally, but if this horse is taking money, the one thing to pay attention to, considering this horse is running at, I believe those are set tier 2 tracks out in Ireland. You got your Noss, you got your Leopardstown, and other tracks like that. What am I thinking? York. Why am I blanking on the biggest track?
You named 3 more than I could, so.
There's one that's literally slipping my mind. That's the biggest track in Ireland, and I can't think of it as of right now, considering I believe York is not in Ireland. I'm just trying to think of something that I can. I'm trying to. But yeah, Dundalk, is that one? I don't know. I'm just bitten at this point. But yeah, the Missing Queen, I completely. Someone help me out, please, for the love of God. I'm just. Where's the boss when I need him? But yeah, there's. Gary Matisse brings up for Arrogate, one of the 2 4-year-olds will move up, dropping blinkers. I believe that was for the was that for the last race? No, that was in this race. Number 4 for Arrogate is one of the 2 maiden 4-year-olds. Should take another step forward, dropping blinkers in a better distance today. Again, I can completely understand that you want to try and make a case for this race. Arrogates, I know, just aren't that good on the turf. You can see the numbers right there. Turf routing only 7% compared to his dirt routes that are 21%. But there's no reason why this horse can't win either. And again, dropping the blinkers, going back to where arguably she ran her best races in the middle of last year as a 3-year-old without blinkers. Now getting them back removed. Definitely could be one to take the win in this race. But again, Jackson, I feel like you could say this for 7 of the 10 runners in this race. Last horse, Jackson, then we'll move to best bets. You have this horse in third. Again, I know we're probably going to reiterate exactly what we've talked about, but we've gone pretty fast through this show. So why not get one more horse in there before we move on to best bets?
Yeah, the one thing we haven't really talked about too much is the pacing here, because it's really not much of it at all. And this is the one horse that has been on the lead before in that 2-back race when she made the front end, set a pretty fast pace, and finished second in there. It was an okay race. I know she kind of had things her own way, but she may get things her own way again in this spot too. And then last time she comes out of that common race where she just had no chance. She was the 12 post. She was keen, didn't like sitting behind horses, was way wide. I think it's a race you toss, but I still want to be a little careful about how short of a price I want to take on her, because it's not like her numbers are, super overwhelming in this spot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Oh, don't listen to this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, he loves Ayuso, as I think the kids say. Oh, you're the Kara. Thank you, Tom. Jesus Christ. That's literally one of the biggest tracks in all of Europe, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. So I'm more like tier 3. Thank you very much, Gary Matisse, but still proves the point exactly what we're trying to make. Again, I completely echo everything you just said, Jackson. It's tough. Like I said, outside of a couple fresh faces that I like, can argue for so many different ones in the last race at Del Mar to close out the late pick 5 on Saturday. I'm going 8, 9, 7. Jackson's going 7, 3, 10. Jackson, best bets for you, my friend. Short and sweet. Talked about how much you love Thought Process. So singling her in the double into race number 9, the 12-5 claimer. Going with the 12-1 horse Zimba Warrior that you like a lot. Obviously, with it being the 12-1, you're going to get a very nice price on that double. Could maybe even spread the risk to if you out there like horses other than the 5. You could throw the 5 in your double, play others, but definitely going to get a nice price on this one, Jackson.
Yeah, I didn't want to do a win bet on Thought Process. That's too boring. That's too simple. We got to spice it up a little bit. So, look, I think I have a good angle here. I think in New York, everyone talks about biases. Biases everywhere. In Del Mar, there's not really too many people talking about it. So when you see one that's pretty significant, I think you want to try to capitalize as much as you can. And I think Sunday kind of proved that it was real on opening day with the inside horses. They really struggled, and now this horse is going to be on a fair racetrack. He could get the right setup. He's classy enough to win this thing. I think he just needs things to go his way a little bit as far as the pace goes. And he's going to be a big price. So let's hope he gets home, and let's hope Thought Process can defeat the evil East Coast horse, and we can cash his double. We'll see.
There we go. That's there. I was waiting for one type of West Coast versus East Coast thing, and I finally got it there at the end. Jackson, of course, again, good luck with that one, because that one is definitely going to pay if it comes through. And you said a win bet on Thought Process would be boring. How about I raise you a win bet on Lush Lips, of course, my friend. But I raised number 6. I talked about the White Lady a lot. I understand 7 for 12 in seconds. However, run a lot of good races, and there's a lot of like the morning line favorite number 4 Gypsy Woman from Mark Latt really doesn't do anything for me, and I know is most likely going to be the favorite in that race. Getting 3-1 to me on a horse that's steadily improving since coming over from overseas, 80 to 85 buyer. If she takes another step forward here off a little bit of a freshening up for Phil D'Amato and Rispoli, I think that's definitely worth the price to try and take a win bet on that horse. And, it's basically me versus Jackson in the grade 1, because, again, if anyone else wins, I'd be very, very surprised in the Del Mar Oaks. But if I'm really hoping a horse like the 9 for Baffert or someone tries to press in that race, because if they do, I'm really hoping Lush Lips sits somewhere in that middle stalking position. If they do wear a Thought Process out a little bit, I know Lush Lips will be coming late based off that visual we saw last time. So 2 simple win bets for me, both 3-1 on the morning line. I think Lush Lips should get less than that, but I still think it's value in a race that seems like the top 2 horses are just an echelon above everyone else. And a win bet on the number 10, the White Lady, in race number 6. Jackson, my friend, it's been an interesting one. That's for sure. However, of course, we got to keep the show going. And I appreciate you. I know you were just on another podcast. So you rushed over here. I had a softball game that went to extra innings. I ran over here. Both convened like 2 minutes before the show, but I think I went very well, my friend. And again, with a very competitive card on Saturday, it's definitely going to be hopefully a good one for the both of us.
Yeah, as chaotic as that last minute was leading up to the show and everything that happened before that too, I thought it was good. It was good. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we were able to give people some good opinions. We can connect the dots here and there. That's a big thing, right? Let's cash a couple tickets.
Let's cash a couple tickets. Exactly. Of course, guys, if you haven't seen, we have King's Plate shows as well for Woodbine on Saturday. They're the Canadian Kentucky Derby, if you will. So please check that out for Picks and Ponies. And of course, Betting and Boozing. Myself and Patrick and Charlie did a show on Saratoga with the Grade 1 Alabama. So give those two a listen. It's a little late for our East Coast people, so maybe tomorrow give those a listen. But 2 great shows, and 3 great shows, including this one, coming your way this week for a big weekend of racing. For my co-host, Jackson Muniz, this has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode 41 of Pacific Horseplayers here on the HHH Racing Podcast, covering the Delmar Saturday Late Pick 5, including the Grade 1 Delmar Oaks. And until next time, everyone, crush those bets, win those photos, and stay safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. PHP out.